Hello friends, Adam Shaw here from my studio in Northern California. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about my own process of painting these tree paintings that you see behind me. Many years ago, when I was teaching myself how to paint, I used to work on one painting at a time. And because I work in oils and the oil process is kind of slow, meaning um, it takes a long time for oil paints to dry. So if you're going to lay one color on top of another and not get ultimately mud, you often have to wait a long time. As a result of that, I would spend a lot of time in my studio sitting and looking. And sometimes I would spend hours in my chair just looking at a painting, waiting. It reminds me of the proverbial uh, expression of boredom watching the paint dry, which of course for a painter is not true. Watching paint dry is actually very exciting. Um, anyway, I evolved from that working on one painting at a time to working on many paintings at a time. That way I could work on a given painting until it felt like I didn't know where to go. And then I just pick up another painting. And I could work on that painting for a half hour, an hour or two, then take a little break, and then work on another painting for a half hour or an hour or two or whatever. As a result of that, I wound up with a lot of paintings that were not finished. I probably had close to a dozen paintings or so in my studio, and they were all in varying degrees of incompletion. This went on for quite a while, and I was really beside myself. And I didn't know how to complete any of the work that I was doing. I didn't want to make variations on paintings I'd already made. I wanted to do something new, and I didn't know what it was, and I couldn't see the way. And this feeling grew into despair. And one day, I was really beside myself with sadness and loss as in terms of what direction I wanted to take my work in. And it was raining. And outside my studio, I had a couple of really big eucalyptus trees. And I went out in the rain and leaned my whole body up against one of those big eucalyptus trees. And I was crying. And I just begged the universe, begged God, begged guidance, whatever it is that moves through me as an artist. I begged that force for guidance. And I didn't come up with anything. And carried my grief with me. And the next day I woke up and went into my studio, and I started turning all my paintings into these tree paintings. I had no idea that I was going to do that. I didn't make a decision about it. I didn't see clearly where I was going to go. It just moved through me. And I turned all my paintings that I were working on at that time into a whole body of work of these tree paintings, which is very different from anything I had done before. I had been a color field painter, and I had done heavily textured, abstract landscape type paintings. They weren't really landscapes, but they were evocative of landscape. And the next thing I know, these tree paintings just started coming out of me. And I created this entire body of work. And at the time, Santa Fe was one of my main markets, and I used to have a summer show there every year. And I shipped my show to the gallery. It was very different from anything that I had ever sent to the gallery before. And my dealer said to me, I can't sell these. It was so different. She didn't resonate with them. I'm not sure if she didn't resonate with them because she didn't actually like the paintings, or because they were so different from what she sold, she felt that she couldn't sell them. I wouldn't have a market for them. And she said, I can't sell these paintings. And I said, well, that's what I've got. That's what I painted, and that's the show. So she hung the show, and it's sold out. And not more than a month or 6 weeks later, she was on the phone with me telling me we need more tree paintings. And as a result of that, the tree paintings became not what I do, but one of the things that I do. There's some artists that find a style or a look, and when you look at their body of work over the course of several years, you basically see the same painting or variations on that painting. And that's that artist's look or their style or their voice or whatever you want to call it. I'm not that kind of artist. I like to go in different directions. I'm interested in paintings with language. I'm interested in painting flowers. I'm interested in painting landscapey type paintings. I'm interested in a certain kind of minimalist look. I'm interested in paintings with inset steel and things hanging off them. And I give voice to all of those drives in me. And as a result, have created a body of work that goes out in several different directions. And one of the directions that my painting began to go into the trees, and it continues to this day to be a source of real pleasure to work on these tree paintings. One is it gives me permission to work in complete abstraction, but because it's referential, and you can tell they're trees or forest, I have sort of a structure inherent in that direction of painting that I work in. And yet the trees themselves, they're never really done. They can just keep going and going and going. I can put 20 layers, 50 layers, 75 layers, 100 layers. I can work on it for 6 months. I can work on it for 10 years or more. So I continue to work on the trees, and every year or two I come back to them. And sometimes I'll start a new tree painting, or sometimes I'll go into the racks and pull out a tree painting that I had completed previously, and I'll recomplete it. I'll re-engage with it. So the tree paintings have become an incredible source of joy and expansion for me, and that's why I continue to make them. And I'm sharing those with you now. So that's just a little info on what these paintings are about. I will also say people will often ask what kind of tree they are, or they'll assume just because they relate to them in a certain way that they're aspens or birches, dependent upon where they live. But they're not aspens really, although they have, I think about aspens sometimes when I'm working on them. They're not birches. But I think about birches sometimes when I'm working on them. They're not eucalyptus trees, although it was the eucalyptus trees that I was channeling when I went into this body of work. They're just tree nests. Like Jackson Pollock said in answer to one question about painting nature, and he said, "I am nature." And I would say that I really relate to that. And I think any serious artist relates to that in one way or another, because it is our nature as human beings to be creative and to allow some kind of creative intelligence or force to move through us, which makes us one with nature. So that's all I wanted to say this time. I hope you find it interesting. I hope you like, subscribe, share, and come back. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.